The best souvenirs have three things in common, and if you thought I was gonna speed run through 190 some odd souvenirs, you are absolutely right. Except I just lied, so you're wrong. But I am gonna show you what to me is the best and, as an added bonus, one of the cheapest souvenirs you can possibly get from anywhere your travels might take you. The first characteristic of the best souvenirs are that they actually memorialize your own very unique travel experiences. So, I mean, as unimpressive as it might be to anyone else, given that this was a business trip, treating coffee shops and restaurants as temporary offices, remembering the unique calm serenity of spending the better part of an entire workday on the tranquil patio of a restaurant called The Acre is something I always want to make sure I revisit and be able to recommend to friends and family who might venture to the Big Durian. But one of the most memorable experiences I had over this past 5-month trip so far was when I had a few hours to kill between a client meeting in the morning and an afternoon vendor meeting in South Jakarta and went to explore the sub-basement level of Blok M Square, and being so lucky to meet Pian and Bewak and for them to let me hang out and film them working away. It's an experience I'll never forget, so impactful in fact that as someone who has never considered wearing jewelry, now see their stall and that day as the absolute best shopping experience I've ever had in my life. Heading north to Kota Tua sits a near 2 million square foot, 5-floor building called LTC Glodok, and it's where a ton of my meetings are. It also happens to be my favorite mall on planet Earth that I've been to. Being intimately involved in manufacturing back home in Toronto, hence the meetings here, literally thousands of stores selling everything from heavy machinery to solenoids, motors, switches, pumps, made to order circuit boards and tools. Millions and millions of tools. I mean, you can literally sketch something on the back of a napkin, get it mocked up in AutoCAD on the 4th floor, buy the raw materials on the ground floor and head to the basement, have a machinist make the parts, then take it over to a welder next door to put it together, all while having a custom circuit board printed and programmed on the 3rd floor. Incredible. Regardless, when I head to the area, I'll always take a bajai a few minutes north to Taman Fatahila. This time, after a bit of exploration, I went to Cafe Batavia to escape the sweltering midday sun. And this deep-fried enoki mushroom dish was unbelievable, and this is coming from someone who really doesn't mess with veggies. And speaking of Cafe Batavia, the second characteristic of the best souvenir is that they can truly only be acquired at the place you visit. I mean, in this globalized world of commerce, there's almost nothing you cannot find shopping online. But one of the things that you really cannot get anywhere other than the places you visit are business cards, which incidentally are also completely free. I usually get 2 if I can, but regardless, it's double-sided tape for these business cards before I continue on to remembering the most intense work sprint I've ever had. You see, executing client projects abroad is always a bit terrifying because my departure flight is already booked, so there's literally no alternative. It's gotta get done on time and as promised, no matter what. And this time, it really came down to the wire, to the point where the client-side PM and I hustled for more than 30 hours straight, pulling an all-nighter. This cup of coffee on the hotel balcony when it was all said and done is what I remember most. It was the weirdest feeling of accomplishment, mixed with relief, mixed with delirious fatigue. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if you noticed, but on that balcony I had a different notebook than my typical work notebook that you're used to seeing. I found this 5-year diary late last year and decided to start documenting the highlights of each day, every single night before bed, and it's been the one constant in my life since January 1st. I think it's a pretty cool idea to just wind down each day, jotting a blurb, and then next year, flip all the way back to the beginning, and at the end of it, we'll have 5 years documented of the most memorable occurrences of each and every day. If you're as weird as me about this stuff, I have linked it down in the description in case you want to check it out for yourself. But regardless, to celebrate a job well done, after a well-deserved shower and long nap, I met back up with the best in-house project manager I've ever worked with for dinner at a restaurant that she recommended called Kaum. Serving traditional Indonesian dishes representing food from every region of this gigantic 17,000 island archipelago. Holy crap, was it ever delicious. Just looking at these pics, I already can't wait to go back to Jakarta. I woke up late the next morning, and with 3 hours before I had to head to the airport to head out, I did what I do every time it's my last day in Jakarta, and it'll probably make most people, both local Indonesians and travel lovers alike, cringe.
Bear with me because there's something available right here at McDonald's in Indonesia that is life-changing. And it is this right here. You guys have no idea how amazing it is. Saus sambal. This is one of my favorite sauces on planet Earth. So every time I come to Indonesia, no choice. I gotta go nuts with it.
And because of that, I always ask employees to give me as many packets as they're willing, so I can bring them back home, and on my cheat days in Toronto, I can hit the drive-thru and indulge. By the way, I also gotta say, I love how McDonald's here also has sinks and soap outside of the restrooms. It's so efficient to have a place to wash our hands without crowding the bathroom. They even have one outside for people who sit on the patio. So convenient. But let's do a quick recap. Characteristic 1 of the best souvenir is that they represent your unique memories and experiences throughout your travels. Check, check, check. Characteristic 2 is that they are things you can only get at the place you visited. Once again, check, check, check. And characteristic 3 is that they are small and light, so not only do they not make packing a pain on your way home, but also don't take up too much space and clutter up your home once you get back. And a thin, simple notebook is pretty much as lightweight and easy to pack as it gets. If you've been with me for a bit, you already know that I'm all in on Travelers Company notebooks, but literally any thin, small page count notebook will do the trick. If you're artistic, you can do stuff like this, but because I'm not good at drawing yet, I decided to use this Canon Ivy printer because it doesn't need any ink and just uses this special paper that develops the photos through thermal. Obviously, any tape will do for stuff like my boarding passes and business cards, but Travelers Company also makes these pre-cut double-sided tape pieces as well. They even make these thin, transparent sticker slots too for more oddly shaped items. But again, literally any cheap, thin notebook will do the trick. That being said, everything I use is linked down in the description so you can research them more for yourself and decide if any of them are right for you. I guess what I'm saying is, a thin notebook to document your journey is the best souvenir precisely because it's a one of one. A true custom piece that you can look back on to revisit all the best memories and stories you made while you were away. And best of all, it's one of the cheapest options even possible. Whip out your phone and snap some pics. Try to remember to grab a few business cards everywhere you go, but most of all, put pen to paper and fill in the details that matter to you. But souvenir or not, what really matters most when you are getting ready to go on a trip is what you choose to bring and to see what to me are the most important things to pack. Having now sailed on more than 250 international flights, you will definitely want to check out these videos right over here. I'll leave them both on screen for a few seconds so you can choose which one to watch next, but while you're deciding, consider liking, subscribing, and hitting that bell so you'll be notified the moment new videos just like this one drop.